Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. So today I wanted to show the team my newest CGC 9.8 comic book purchase. Yeah, for this one I featured it on that ongoing cold list video we did about a week ago, I think it was, as just a really good CGC 9.8 that you could pick up right now for a pretty fair price. And this book too, it's got a really good story. It's got a really good first appearance of like a Batman villain, which is, just so kind of right up my alley. And I think when this book first came out too, it was quite more popular then, but has since kind of cooled down. I just think it's kind of a good timing on this book right now. So we'll get into the full reveal in a second here, but I do want to invite everyone to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Yeah, I would love to have you on our comic book collecting and comic book investing team. And hit the bell for all the latest notifications. Add me on Instagram and Twitter as well. All the links in the description below for all that. But yeah, let's just get right into the reveal here of my newest CGC 9.8. Yeah, pretty cool one here. We'll get into the details. It's a Batman Arkham Knight #1. Yeah, so Batman Arkham Knight #1. You get the first appearance of the Arkham Knight in comic books. So that's kind of that big first appearance. And even just getting into Batman Arkham Knight and things like that. Like I wasn't even really sure what Arkham Knight was. Ends up it's a Batman, he's a Batman villain. And I say it's because there's sort of two versions and one's male, one's female. So for Batman Arkham Knight #1 though, we'll get into the senses and talk about how much I paid for this and everything like that. But just, a quick sort of background of Batman Arkham Knight is basically like, Jason Todd was, killed, killed off in the 80s. And instead, how the Arkham Knight storyline goes is that Joker took Jason Todd back to Arkham Asylum and sort of imprisoned him, and then he sort of developed a big grudge towards Batman and became the Arkham Knight. So that's sort of the quick synopsis for this Arkham Knight. So Arkham Knight is sort of a Batman villain, and there's another Arkham Knight though that the first appearance was in that Detective Comics 1000, and that's like a female version of the Arkham Knight, but as far as I know, still similar origins where they sort of get imprisoned in Arkham Asylum and then they develop a grudge for Batman and they become a Batman villain. So, the Arkham Knight sort of persona can be taken up by almost anyone is the way I sort of think about it. So this first appearance of Arkham Knight though, this sort of for sure predates the Detective Comics 1000. So this book's the first print too. There's a lot of other variants to consider, and they got pretty decent covers, some of them too, but I really like this cover actually. So let's just have a look on the census here. There are 60 CGC 9.8s out there in the blue label. So kind of a 1 of 60 collector item is kind of cool for a Batman Arkham Knight fan. Certainly if you're a fan of the video games too, that's where it's sort of, I think that's, now that I think of it, I probably should have did that research. I'm pretty sure Arkham Knight, the first appearance ever, was in that original video game. But I didn't actually confirm that. I just sort of thinking of it on camera right now, to be honest. But 60 CGC 9.8s out there, 1 of 60. 81.1% is the CGC 9.8 ratio. So of all graded copies, 81.1% of them are CGC 9.8s. So let's get into the price here for Batman Arkham Knight #1 in the CGC 9.8. So I ended up paying for this one $82, plus it was from within Canada, so pretty reasonable shipping getting it to me, which was, I think another one of the reasons why I sort of ended up pulling the trigger. But $82 American, that's probably going to be near the higher end of fair value, I think, for this book, because if we talk about raw prices really quick, like, for sort of near mint looking, really, really pristine, it's sort of like $15 to $20, I think, for this book. Maybe if you get lucky, around closer to 10. But very fine near mint copies are like $6, $7. So this is, one you can certainly pick up in the raw as well. But in the 9.8, 82 maybe near the higher end of the fair value, but since it wasn't in Canada with a pretty cheap shipping for me and I was going to get it quick, I just decided to pull the trigger. But you may want to aim for sort of 60 to 70 on this one. I think is doable. But the first appearance of Arkham Knight, I did boil it down here into 3 reasons why I ended up pulling the trigger. on a Batman Arkham Knight one. And just being a big Batman fan, it just kind of fits in. So, but yeah, we'll get into those reasons here. I think first reason is the timing. I think right now this, Batman Arkham Knight, it's really almost the definition of just like a cold first appearance of a cool Batman villain, I guess. Certainly a modern Batman villain. So I think the timing's really good on this one to just, get a pretty cool first appearance. That I really liked the story when I read it. And, you can pick it up for pretty cheap right now, because my sort of, comparison in this case would be the first Punchline appearances. I was having a look at Hell Arisen 3, and that's sort of going for kind of like 160 to 180 in the CGC 9.8 right now. Yeah, it's kind of heating back up. For a bit there, it was sort of down to like 130, and I was thinking of maybe going after a copy. But so first Punchline, a new villain, kind of, everyone's sort of talking about it right now, is going for 180, and I'm grabbing this for $82, and maybe you can even get it for cheaper. A first appearance of a modern Batman villain. So I think the timing's right on this one, whereas with first Punchline, this is 5 years after this book came out. So in 5 years, where's Hell Arisen number 3 going to be? My guess is probably maybe 120, 110 type of thing, more so than over 200 in the 9.8, but who knows? But this book is sort of it fit on that cold list really good, because I think the timing is pretty good for this one to just get out there and buy it at an affordable price. So that's the first reason timing was right. Second is I really love Batman, and I really love Batman villains. And I got a lot of first appearances of Batman villains, and first Bane, first Scarface and Ventriloquist. First Professor Pig. Yeah, Batman 666 is a great issue to kind of read. Even though Professor Pig, he's basically just killed in that and crucified. You don't even really see him do much. But for number 2 on the list here, why I purchased this. Yeah, I'm just a huge Batman fan and Batman villains fan. And when I sort of read the first few issues of Batman Arkham Knight, I just really liked the story, and thought it would be a good kind of cold buy right now. And the last reason here is just the cool art in the story. And I was a bit intrigued because, just when I personally, I just sort of had heard of the video game, and I played the video game occasionally, but I've never owned it. But to be honest, I was like, Batman Arkham Knight, who is Arkham Knight? Is it a different version of Batman? Is it, a different villain in himself kind of thing, which it pretty much ends up being. So I was just intrigued at first, and I wanted to sort of read the story, and then I really liked the whole story and the art too. And yeah, and I thought since it is cold, it's one to buy right now, I think. So yeah, ended up pulling the trigger on a Batman Arkham Knight number 1. One thing to mention too, there are quite a few variants of this book. There was the arcade stop variant was pretty cool, I think it was called. A couple other variants to maybe consider, and I was looking at those prices in the raws, and they're maybe $5 or $10 more than the first print in the raw, so not too that much more expensive for some of the variants. So I would just check out some of the variants if you really like the covers. There's 1 or 2 covers in there of the variants that do look really cool, so may be worth considering. But I do really like this cover as well for and kind of the cheapest way to get a sort of comic book that says the first appearance of Arkham Knight in comics. So yeah, just the last reason was just the cool art in the story, and I was a bit just interested in who is the Arkham Knight, and then I read the story and I really liked it. So those are the 3 reasons there. But yeah, glad to grab one. And I think I think in this environment, one thing to mention, sort of, I probably should have mentioned it earlier, is any kind of DC animation movie, or possibly even a live action movie. I sort of said that, and I think that cold list video I mentioned, a live action Batman Arkham Knight movie could catch on for sure, I think. But I think something more realistic would probably be a DC animation movie of Batman Arkham Knight. And whether they go with sort of this Arkham Knight or the female version of Arkham Knight, I don't think really matters too much. But one right now where there's just not any promotion. There's no animated movie, and I think right now that's sort of my style, is to just buy really cool things when they're pretty affordable, and then you know, you can enjoy the prices you see if a movie ends up coming along the way, if you kind of get lucky. But if not, you just get a really cool first appearance. And as I said, I really like Batman, so it's just right up my alley to kind of grab this book for an affordable price. All right, so concluding up here, yeah, I think for Batman fans, this one's, it's like a cool underfollowed, like a cool underfollowed comic and a cool underfollowed villain, but I think the potential is like underrated. Yeah, like there's like an underrated potential with Arkham Knight. I just think, you know, the video games were a huge hit, so they already have a cult following. But I just think if, you know, a big budget Batman Arkham Knight movie came out, it would be like similarly as successful to Batman the Dark Knight, whatever it was there with like the Heath Ledger Joker kind of thing. All Batman movies are pretty successful, but I think a big budget Batman Arkham Knight movie could work. But maybe something more realistic might be the DC animation route. But regardless of what happens, I think now is the time to buy, because nobody's talking about it, and it's just still really cool, and you can get it for an affordable price and still really have a good pride of ownership, I think, on yeah, Batman Arkham Knight #1, which is the first appearance in comic books of the Arkham Knight. And yeah, again, check out those variant covers, because you could probably look at buying those in the raw. There's not too many of the variants in the 9.8 on the census. 60 of these in the 9.8 in the first print, so this is kind of doable. But I think, yeah, a one of 60 at like $80 is kind of cool for me. Being so that it was in Canada too, and I got a pretty decent deal on shipping. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Again, I'll really quickly invite everyone to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Hit the bell for all the latest notifications. Add me on Instagram and Twitter as well. Yeah, all the links in the description below for that. And Instagram is probably the easiest place to get a hold of me and just ask me a question if you wanted to or something like that. But yeah, thanks again for all the support out there. Really glad I could share my newest CGC 9.8 with the team. And yeah, this is a cool one. Being a Batman fan, I'm really liking just sort of the pride of ownership I got from this off the bat here for like an $80 9.8. Like case, really good shape too. Yeah, case is really sort of happy with the order. You know, it was from within Ontario in Canada, so it got to me pretty quick. Case is flawless, and they had good pictures and everything, so I was sort of expecting a pretty flawless order, and was lucky it did. The book looks really good. Yeah, no obvious flaws on the book. The spine is just flawless. Like can't even see a spine dink on this one. So those are the good 9.8s when you get those. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate all the support, and message me on Instagram if you would like. And yeah, thanks again. I'll see you on the next one.